Right, we're working now on the lower half. Time to install the selector drum, which is easy enough. Just slide it into its place. You need to make sure that this point here, or actually this connector or whatever you want to call it, needs to point towards the front, and by doing so this selector, this step here in the star, hope you can see it, will point downwards. Okay, once you've got that one, it's time for the bearing retaining plate, which is fitted on the right hand side, secured by 2 bolts. Should be able to see them. You're going to need a bit of thread lock on that. Blue Loctite will do. And if possible, make sure you put it the right way in. If you see here is beveled, that means that the bolt will fit much better if you do it this way up. Okay, they have to be snug. Now it doesn't specify a torque setting, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use an impact hammer. Now let's go on to the neutral switch, which is on the other side. Okay, here's the connector we were mentioning earlier. That needs to point towards the front of the engine, which is what it's doing now as I've turned the engine case around. Now here's the switch. You would see there's a tip, a metal tip there. That is where that connector will make contact whenever you are in neutral. Now this is pointing forward. That tip on one side has this this bolt on the other. That means that has to go with the bolt facing the front end of the engine, like so. Now we're going to go ahead and grab the 3 screws, bit of thread lock again, and then we're done. Okay, and again we have no torque settings. That's it. Here we go. Now we need to install the selector forks with their shaft. These are fairly straightforward because they're marked left, center and right, so you just put them there, slip the shaft in, that's it. Job done. Right, input shaft first. You need to make sure that, where are we? You need to make sure that this pin locates into its hole down in this housing. Like so. Okay, once you've done this, this is basically to set the distance between this bearing and this ring. Okay, so once you've done that, you lift it, making sure that the distance doesn't change, and then lay it in the upper crankcase. Right, we swapped to the upper crankcase. Now we've laid the input shaft, as I said before, with that pin. Hopefully you see it here, pointing up. Right, so we're going to lay the output shaft. Now we need to make sure there's a pin here and a pin on the other side as well. We need to make sure that this pin is at 12 o'clock, whereas the other one is touching the mating surface, pointing forward. Right, so again, grease, and this can go. We're going to put the sleeve as well. Okay, and this is set. Apologies, my mistake. This pin here has to face backwards. Right, we are now installing the bearing shells. I'm gonna reuse the parts that I had initially because I didn't have any problem with this, so just gonna go ahead and clean them up as best as I can. I'm just using some white spirit. Right, we are on to the lower crankcase, lower half. Before proceeding with the shells, we need to install the oil jet in the middle. Before doing that, we need to apply it Loctite. And this is done as well. Right, name of the game now is to drop the crankshaft here, fitting it through this chain, which I want to see how it works. And yeah, simple enough, innit? I think we need to put the shaft before we put these. Right. I'm sorry if you couldn't understand exactly what was going on, but to make a long story short, I don't know how, I couldn't imagine how to fit this into the crankshaft. So I thought, well, maybe we do it the other way around, right? Maybe we fit it into the clutch. Maybe this way is easier. Ooh. Guess what? It actually is a lot easier. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put everything back together, and then we go from there. And that's two. Again, making sure. Very neutral. The seal goes on this side. Right. So here's the new seal. They call it unlipped. Okay, this is pretty much all the preparation for rejoining the two halves of the engine. What we need to do now, we need to abundantly lube the crankshaft, the gear shafts and cogs and all the bearings with abundant fresh engine oil. We're gonna prep up the surfaces by removing any oil residue. Then we're gonna get gasket seal, fit the two dowels and the O-ring for the oil passage, and then we're gonna put the two halves back together. This is not gonna be an easy and quick task, so I don't want to rush it. I don't want to do everything. I don't want to do too much tonight. It's been quite a long night, so I think it's time for me to take some rest. Thank you guys for having come this far with me, and hope you enjoyed it. I certainly have. And yeah, I will send another update as soon as. Take care guys, ride safe.